Welcome to AM 605, real talk about how to prosper in challenging times. Featuring Vancouver's top realty, mortgage, and wealth advisors. Now, here are your hosts, Melissa Wu, Gary Chan, and Joe Tang.
Welcome back to AM 605. Today is January 31st. I'm Joe Tang.
I'm Melissa Wu.
I'm Gary Chen.
So in a couple of weeks, it is Chinese New Year. So guys, what do you guys normally do when Chinese New Year comes around?
恭喜發財啊!
If it's not COVID, we'll be actually going to friends' house and I would say party, but we'll gather together and have dinner.
Yeah. So usually I would go to visit my parents, and then my parents they often have guests to visit.
Mm-hmm.
That is before. So this year may be a little bit different.
I mean, if you've got relatives in town, there's a lot of red envelopes. You get a lot of red envelopes from
this year maybe e-transfer.
Yeah, so we do that. There's a lot of food. There's a lot of celebration. And this year's what? Year of the
Metal ox.
So there's metal. There's what?
Wood.
There's wood.
I think there's also air, right? I'm not too familiar, but I know there's always metal.
Fire,
yeah.
And then water, right?
Something like this. Those are the different elements.
Right, different elements, and not too sure what it means, but I just know that if you're an ox, then you have to do something.
You're an ox, right, Joseph?
I am an ox, yes.
So there's something called 太歲.
Yeah, so this year is 太歲. So then, so we have to do certain things to kind of protect ourselves.
Such as getting married.
Or big situations, as we were talking.
Or buy a house.
Well, not situations. I'll say big decisions.
A big decision.
Making the big decisions.
So you have to advance the 太歲. You take action before the 太歲.
Is that how it works?
It means that you
before
yes, you act before the 太歲 do something.
Oh, okay. So what are my options here?
Get married.
Oh, okay.
And or buy a property.
What else? So have a baby.
Oh, you can have a baby, but the baby takes 9 months.
Can we impregnate someone? Does that count?
No, I don't think so.
I'm not sure now.
It has to be closed.
Switch or open businesses. So anything positive but big changes.
In Chinese tradition, anything lucky, fortune. So for example, getting married is a big fortune event.
Okay.
And then also buying a property is also 起势, it's going up event.
Yeah,
so it's kind of develop your stability in the life.
Oh.
So I think it's good. Maybe you can have a child.
So anything, I definitely say having a child would kind of make me more
stable.
Responsible, yeah.
Okay.
Responsible man, family man, because now I want to be a father.
Oh,
so anything leveling up, it sounds like anything that levels.
In Chinese culture, having children is, I think, is a big event as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, I'll work on that.
So I guess New Year time, we can't go any travel.
Yeah, we cannot go anywhere this year. It's unfortunate. So before in the last, if you check the real estate board records, every year around the springtime is the most active year in the last 20 years, except 2019 because of the stress test mortgage. So if you go back in history, every year springtime around Chinese New Year is the best time to sell because it's very active. It's in the Chinese calendar called the spring market. Yes.
Okay.
So if any seller want to optimize most activity is this time.
Okay, in February. Because I guess is it everyone started to come out after the winter time?
Yes. So investors, investors or people trying to make a move, they will plan now. Right. This is the time to plan the move. So for example, even if I put my house on the property and then the buyer take a look at houses, they will take a couple months to decide on what they want to buy.
Right.
And then subject removal and then completion will be into summer already, early summer already. So this is why.
That makes sense.
Yes.
Because I actually do have on the mortgage side, I do have a lot of clients actually waiting for the year-end bonus. And after the bonus, they say I have enough money and I want to make a move.
Yes. So tax planning and then all the stuff is kind of out of the way. And then now you start to making a move. So that's why spring, summer is usually early summer, spring, early spring is the best time. Every year, most active.
So anything that happens right now will close in 4 months time.
In real estate, usually it takes about 2 to 3 months for the transaction to close. Of course, there is faster, like 2 weeks, and then there are slower, 6 months to even like land assembly, couple years. So then it's a variation, but majority is 2 to 3 months.
So then typically then you see a lot of people starting to list now. Is that what you're saying? Or?
So sellers that have not been able to sell last year, for example, they did not get the price they want. So in the spring, they will reevaluate because now your BC assessment's gone up 10%.
Right.
Interest rate is quite low. So then a lot of sellers will think, oh, this is the time I can get the price I cannot get last year. So then they will like start to prepare the home, like fix up whatever they need to fix up in the house, be preparation for the sale and get the top dollar. So every year spring is the best time to put on the market.
And then hopefully, so then what about summertime? Because the weather's really nice. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Okay, so the situation with summer, because the weather is so nice, the house so beautiful. At the same time, we also have a lot of buyers that come out to see homes that are not really ready. They just want to come out and take a look. So in this when the weather is not so good, such as the spring, we still have rain and it's still cold. So whoever wants to buy, they're ready. They are ready and they're very serious and they're pre-qualified. In the summer, where like I feel it's 50-50. In the spring, when it's still cold, and also towards the winter, the end of the year, that is when the serious buyers really come out to buy the home. And whatever is on the market, the sellers are also very serious. So spring and towards the end of the year, those are the most active time. Of course, like every year have a little bit variation, but that is the trend in the last 20 years.
Interesting. So then you're saying that this year is going to be a good year.
This year is going to be a fantastic year because it's record low interest rate.
That's true.
Record low interest rate. We haven't seen this like 1 point something interest for like a long time.
Right.
Yeah, it's almost like free money.
And we assume like the interest rate will stay low for quite a while until the pandemic's like.
Yeah. So it's definitely a good time to make a move.
Right.
How about the stock market? Like, it's like Chinese New Year, and then like people buying more stocks, like as direct.
Well, there's no direct linkage to the stock market. There's no real direct linkage in terms of Chinese New Year. If there isn't, it's more so it's fluid because it's much easier, right?
Yeah, it's more liquid.
It's more liquid, so you can kind of buy and sell at all parts of the time, right? So. As much as I wish there was some sort of seasonality with Chinese New Year, then it'd be easier to get in and no one to get out. But no, there isn't.
But I heard like they sell May and go away.
It's a saying, but
nobody's going anywhere.
But no one's going anywhere. So then, what normally I would say maybe 70% of the time when you're in May all the way through maybe August, the market would only go up 2-3%, like in that period of time.
So when does the market like have the most bullish move or most uptrend?
Most bullish is usually year-end, so October, November, December, all the way till February. So from May till end of August, like that period of time, it's either kind of stagnant or it just kind of moves up higher, but not a lot, like maybe 3-4%, something along the lines of that.
And something about this year different in the U.S. market is there's a new new president, right? Yeah. So new party in office. So I read something online that usually the first 3 months of the new party, there's a little bit fluctuation in the market. Yeah. So how do you recommend something to the investor? How do you protect your position, or how should you take advantage of this situation?
Well, you got to look at it from a little bit longer term perspective, right? So if you feel like a company that you're buying into has good long term potentials, and we all know what Biden wants to do. We all know what the whole Democrats wants to do is to restart the economy and to print more money and to get the economy going and vaccines being distributed. So we know that 12 months later, hopefully, if everything goes well, the economy should restart and move higher. So every dip that you see right now should be seen more of an opportunity because you're buying something not at $100 anymore. You're buying at maybe 95 or 90 in hopes of when things reopen that they're going to go to 120 or 130. So this is all the pullbacks, all the fluctuations right now is more of a buying opportunity than being panicked. Because today, nothing's changed from today to 2 weeks ago. Other than just some noise about GameStop, AMC, and all that kind of stuff.
All the squeeze is happening, right?
all the squeezing is happening. But other than that, nothing's changed. Like the policies haven't changed. Biden is still wants to do what he wants to do. So other than the news,
the fundamentals haven't changed.
No, not at all. It's still going. The vaccines are still coming out. And Johnson actually had a approval, I guess you would say. The vaccines work. Well, it works 70% of the time, but it's still another company. Now we've got Pfizer, Moderna, AstraZeneca, and Johnson & Johnson, 4 companies that will provide vaccines. And eventually there'll be 5th one, 6, 7, 8, etc., etc., etc. So fundamentally, no changes, but it's more of a news headline. So I would say right now it's more of a healthy pullback.
Yes.
It's a healthy pullback.
So in the healthy pullback, should you be in cash position?
If you've already fully invested already or close to being fully invested, then stay the course, right? But if you've got cash or if you've got bonds or liquid or anything that you can use, then I would use that to buy more stocks on the dip.
So, for example, if you have your position already in blue chip and it's gone up so much, should you do a margin account? So you would have liquid. Suppose there is a little bit pullback correction. Should you be because you have now because you have owned a bunch of blue chip and then now you can borrow against your blue chip. Suppose there's a correction, now you have this extra liquid money, then you can strengthen your position.
I mean, the margin account, to keep things simple, using margin is not the best way to go about it. The simplest way is to just get a loan for X amount of dollars and just use that to dump it into the market. Second, you don't want to be getting a margin when the market's moving downwards because they lend you based on the market value of your portfolio.
That's right, yeah.
Right? So if you should be getting the margin account when it's worth more, not on its way down.
But the margin account kind of fluctuate on your portfolio, right?
Exactly. So that's the third reason why I don't recommend using margin accounts is because yes, you can take money out, borrow against your portfolio to invest, but because the banks or whomever that lends you the money will evaluate your position, your portfolio, and then every time it dips below a certain percentage,
they can call your margin.
Exactly.
They can tell you to put more cash back.
Exactly. So in a way, you're more limited because at any point in time, you have to be
more
ready.
Stressful.
Yeah, you have to be ready. I have to be more ready with cash to repay.
So you don't really use your margin until you really know that,
you're in a very good position. And then
you're
just using it for a short period of time.
Short period of time, or at least when the portfolio is on its way up, then that's when you get the margin, right? But like I said, for simplicity's sake and to avoid being margin called, you want to use just a loan. Get a loan, simple
you
loan,
don't want to really touch your margin until you're absolutely sure or the market has a black swan like last year.
Well, you want to get it before the black swan.
You want to have the margin available, but you don't want to use it until you feel you can see a trend going back up.
Exactly.
Or some good news on we're going to print another trillion.
Yeah.
Before you can execute.
So if they're printing money, so it's good for the stock market, right?
It's good for any market. It's good for the economy, right?
So do you think there is a problem with all this printing of money?
I wouldn't say there's a problem. I think that it's needed. There may be a problem if the central banks don't control the money supply properly. But they've done this before. They've done it after financial crisis. They've done it even before then, 2001 when 9/11 happened. So it all comes back down to how they control the money supply. So if because at some point they can print money, but they can also retract. We can take money back in. So how they retract the money, at what pace, and then at what pace do they increase the interest rate? That's going to be key because if they do it too fast, that's not good. If they do it just right, that's perfect. So that comes down to how they react. And who knows, like Gary was just saying, we may not be looking at higher rates until 2023, 4, 25, right? So we still have a lot of time to take advantage of this low interest rate environment. It's free money. It's like I said last time too, Donald Trump, Robert Kiyosaki, they've also always said, use debt. Debt can be your best friend or debt can be your worst enemy. So you got to be smart with debt if you're looking to leverage to invest. But use it wisely.
So for the margin account, anything else that we can do?
ideally don't get the margin, like said, get a loan is much quicker.
So why do you have to get a loan? Because margin is always there for you. You don't have to use it.
Maybe usually the loan amount is actually a lot bigger. You can actually get $100,000, $200,000.
Or against your portfolio, and it won't be
Against your portfolio, or it can be against your home as well too, because interest rate is so low for mortgages right now. So
it's a lower rate.
Cost is only around like 1.5 to 1.7, then why not?
So you can get a loan against your portfolio.
You could, or even like
you can, but then I guess it makes your portfolio less liquidity.
The thing with using margin is like, you may get margin called, maybe.
You have to be very accurate. Exactly. You have to be like sure when.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. The best bet is to, one, from an interest rate perspective, use a fixed asset as security, borrow at 1.5, and then invest it at and get 10% or 20%. Like that would be your best bet. Because margin call, you never know. Because it could be like a really quick dip for a week, and then because you went lower.
So they can call you, and then you have to supply with the cash and fill your account.
Exactly, and then the next week it could just go back like that.
Yeah.
So because of that one incident,
because market is kind of very volatile right now.
Yeah, exactly. So.
So Chinese New Year is coming, and then like I heard Ondřej is actually coming back next week to the podcast and telling us more about like the traditional Chinese food and how it's
well, maybe he has a version that will make you skinny. Yeah. So we can make it like turnip lobako, taro cake, like all kinds of good food.
Yes. Well, so with Chinese New Year, there's obviously food that's quite oily, right?
You can make it like a slim version.
We can, but that's why Ondřej's going to come back and tell us kind of like what we did with Christmas or Halloween is like, okay, what can you eat or what you should not eat because of health reasons, and he'll talk about his new product line, and then Melissa's going to teach us how to make lobako and
we can do a film. We can do a video next time.
Yes.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
So for sure, and then we have next week. We have 2 more weeks before Chinese New Year, so we look forward to that. Give everybody a heads up how to stay healthy, how to eat healthy,
and how to make lobako.
Yeah, sounds good. Well, thanks for tuning in. See everybody next week.
See you next week.
If you enjoyed listening to the podcast, you have to check out AM 605 on Facebook, where it's all about real investment and financing strategies. Brought to you by Melissa Wu PREC, Gary.chan Mortgage Team, and Tang Wealth and Investment.